Childhood emotional neglect doesn't look like a wound. It looks like a personality. It looks like being the reliable one, the low-maintenance one, the one who handles everything and never seems to need anything back. Most people carrying it have spent their whole lives being quietly praised for habits that started as survival. Here are 10 of them. Sign number 1. You feel guilty for resting. You finish something and immediately scan for the next task, not because there's more to do, there's always more to do, but because stillness itself feels physically wrong, like you haven't quite earned the right to sit yet. Psychologist Jonas Webb, who coined the term childhood emotional neglect, calls this conditional worth, the absorbed belief that you are valuable when you are useful and uncertain about yourself when you are not. Nobody taught you this directly. You absorbed it from an environment where being productive was the only version of you that seemed to register with the people around you. Rest doesn't feel like recovery. It feels like a question you don't have the answer to yet. Sign number 2. You mentally rehearse conversations before having them. Before a difficult conversation, sometimes even a casual one, you've already run it in your head 3 times. You've scripted what you'll say, prepared your response to the reaction you're most afraid of. You call it being organized, but this habit didn't begin with a nerve-wracking conversation. It began in a home where the emotional atmosphere shifted without warning, where knowing what you were walking into before you arrived wasn't social intelligence, it was protection. Your brain learned to calculate emotional outcomes 5 moves ahead because not calculating once had a cost, and brilliant as it is, it never forgot. Sign number 3. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You apologize when someone walks into you, when you ask a clarifying question at work, when you're a few minutes late, with the weight of someone who's done something that actually matters. Half the time you don't even notice yourself doing it. Therapist Pete Walker named this the fawn response, the instinct to preemptively shrink yourself so that conflict becomes impossible before it starts. It forms in children who learned through consistent experience that their needs and their mistakes created discomfort for the adults around them. The apology isn't politeness, it's a reflex that says, before anyone raises the question, "I know I'm too much, please don't leave." Sign number 4. Receiving kindness feels uncomfortable. Someone pays you a genuine compliment and your first move is to deflect it or immediately give something back to balance the scale. A friend offers to help and you say you're fine when you're not. Someone says, "I've got you," and instead of exhaling, you tighten, because care that arrives freely has always felt like it carries a price you can't see yet. John Bowlby's foundational research on attachment showed that when warmth is inconsistent in childhood, the nervous system stops trusting it. It registers care as temporary, as something scheduled to be withdrawn. You became extraordinary at giving, and receiving became something that sits in your hands and you never quite know what you're supposed to do with it. Sign number 6. You feel responsible for other people's moods. Someone in the room goes quiet and you immediately start reviewing everything you said in the last 10 minutes. A friend seems off and your first thought isn't, "I hope they're okay," it's, "Did I cause this?" You absorb other people's emotional weather as if it's always a forecast about you. Developmental psychologists call this emotional hyper-responsibility. It forms in children who were made, often without anyone in the family realizing it, to manage the emotional temperature of their home. The atmosphere could shift without warning, and you became the one who learned to stabilize it. You became a thermostat for other people's feelings because no one was regulating yours, and you carry that job into every room. Sign number 6. You feel anxious when everything is going fine. Things are genuinely good, nothing is wrong, and instead of settling into that, you feel a low-level unease. You start scanning for what you must be missing. You remind yourself it won't last. Bessel van der Kolk, one of the world's leading trauma researchers and author of The Body Keeps the Score, found that when the nervous system is trained early on emotional unpredictability, calm stops registering as safety. It starts registering as the pause before something breaks, because in childhood that's often exactly what calm was, the quiet period between disruptions, the breath before the shift. Peace becomes something you wait out rather than something you let yourself live in.
Sign number 7. You don't know what you actually want. Someone asks what you want for dinner, from a relationship, from your life, and there's a blankness there that has nothing to do with being indecisive. You've stood in restaurants with the server waiting, feeling a mild internal panic that doesn't match the stakes of choosing pasta at all. That panic is old. Jonas Webb's research found that children whose desires go consistently unacknowledged don't develop broken preferences, they develop buried ones. They grow so skilled at reading what everyone around them needs that the path back to their own inner world quietly closes over. The wants are still there, somewhere underneath everything. You just stopped knowing how to reach them.
Sign number 8. You can describe your emotions without actually feeling them. You can tell someone exactly how you feel with clinical precision. I think I'm probably anxious about this. I guess that did hurt me. Accurate, but there's a distance in it. Like you're standing slightly outside your own body, narrating what's happening to someone standing just behind you. In 1973, Harvard psychiatrist Peter Sifnius named this alexithia, a disconnection between what the body is experiencing and what the mind consciously registers. A child whose emotions were consistently ignored doesn't stop having feelings, they stop listening to them, because listening, for years, produced nothing. No response, no acknowledgement, no relief. The body kept speaking. The mind learned, slowly, to change the channel. Sign number 9. You become a different person depending on who you're with. With some people, you're open, warm, at ease. With others, you become quieter, more careful, almost unrecognizable to yourself. Your opinions soften, your humor disappears, your posture changes. And the unsettling part isn't the shifting, it's that you genuinely don't know which version is the real one. Psychologist Erik Erikson showed that stable identity forms through having your authentic self consistently reflected back during your formative years. Without that, when being whoever was safest was simply the only option available, you don't develop a fixed self, you develop a skill set, an extraordinary, exhausting ability to become whatever the room needs. Who are you when no one is watching can feel genuinely unanswerable. Sign number 10. Silence from someone you care about feels unbearable. Someone you care about takes a few hours to reply, and you feel it. Not just the weight, but the weight. Something in you begins quietly preparing for disappearance, not for an awkward conversation, for the permanent kind. Harry Harlow's landmark research on early attachment, work that fundamentally changed how we understand human bonding, found that when connection is withdrawn without explanation, the brain doesn't register absence as a pause, it registers it as a verdict. Because in a home where emotional presence was inconsistent, silence wasn't neutral, it was the punishment, the withdrawal of whatever warmth had briefly been available. So every unanswered message now carries something much older than a text. It carries the weight of a child who learned to read silence as the beginning of being left. If more than one of these felt uncomfortably familiar, hear this. None of these habits make you broken. They make you someone whose brain adapted brilliantly to conditions that asked too much from a child who had no other options. Understanding where they come from won't fix them overnight, but it changes your relationship with them, and that is where it actually starts. Subscribe. This is what we do here every week, and if this gave someone the words for something they've been carrying without a name, share it with them. I would genuinely appreciate it. Click on the left video about ADHD or right one for psychology of people who know how to fix everything. See you there. Goodbye.